What's up everybody, blessed be, my name is Manon and you are watching Witch in the Working, where we will be discussing all things witchy in and around, throughout and about, above, below, and beyond. This video offers my personal views at the topic at hand. Please visit me on my other platforms as well, including Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon, all linked down in the description below. The full script to this video and most of the others is available on my Patreon account for download if desired to build your own Witch in the Working Book of Shadows. Do you need help with a spell or fancy a tarot reading? Shoot on over to my store, Bewitching and Bizarre, with choices listed down in the description below for your personalized working and or reading. In this episode, we're diving into a topic that's as old as time and as real as your next breath: spirit communication. Now I know, the moment you hear talking to spirits, your brain might jump to flickering lights, spooky movies, or that one creepy cousin who swears their childhood doll blinked at them. But hold up, this isn't about Hollywood horror scenes or ghost hunting gimmicks. What we're really talking about here is something much deeper, something sacred. Spirit communication is one of the oldest practices in the world. It's the art of reaching across the veil, the unseen line between this world and the next, to connect, to listen, and to learn. Whether you're trying to speak to ancestors, spirit guides, elemental beings, or just explore what's out there, this isn't about fear, it's about relationship. Now here's the thing, this path, it's not just for psychic mediums or folks who've been touched by spirits since birth. Nope, it's for anyone with curiosity, respect, and the willingness to grow. That means you, whether you're a seasoned witch, a curious seeker, or just someone who felt a chill while standing alone in a room one day and thought, what was that? You're in the right place. In this video, we're going to break it all down together. So let's get into it. Roll intro. Welcome back everybody. Alright, let's start from the top. Spirit communication. Sounds spooky, right? At its core, spirit communication is simply the act of reaching out across the veil to connect with energies, beings, or entities that aren't currently living in physical form. That might include your ancestors, spirit guides, the spirits of nature, even deities or energies from other realms. Some folks call this mediumship, others call it divination, but whatever the name you slap on it, it all boils down to the same thing: talking and listening to the spirit world. Now I know that might sound like something only gifted people can do, but here's the truth. We all have the ability to communicate with spirits. Every single person is born with the sensitivity to perceive more than just the material world. Some folks are naturally more attuned, sure, but like learning to play guitar or bake a killer pie, it's a skill that can be developed. It just takes patience, trust, and a little practice. One of the biggest things to understand right out of the gate is that spirits aren't here to entertain you. They're not circus acts or game show contestants. Many of them are just like us, curious, wise, protective, sometimes a little moody, and yes, occasionally mysterious. Spirit communication is about relationship, not performance. It's a sacred dialogue, not a command. So who exactly are we communicating with? Ancestors are often the first spirits people connect with. These could be family members from generations past or spiritual ancestors connected to your path, even if you don't know their names. They're usually protective and want the best for you. Spirit guides are like personal mentors on the other side. They don't take over your life, but they are always nudging you toward growth, wisdom, and alignment. You might have one or several, and they can show up in dreams, symbols, or intuitive hits that feel like they came from nowhere. Then we have nature spirits. Think fae, land spirits, or guardians of sacred spaces. These are energies deeply rooted in the earth and the elements. They're powerful, ancient, and often overlooked in favor of flashier spirits, but they're amazing allies if you approach them with respect. And yes, sometimes people also reach out to the dead, loved ones who've passed on. But that doesn't mean every spirit you contact will be someone you knew in life. Spirit communication can also involve energies you've never met before, some of whom may have messages, lessons, or warnings to share. But let me give a word of caution. Not every spirit you encounter is who they say they are. That's why discernment is key. Just because something knocks on the door of your awareness doesn't mean you have to let it in. You wouldn't open your front door to a stranger at 2 a.m., right? Same goes here. Boundaries are magical. Learn to use them. A huge part of getting comfortable with spirit work is trusting yourself. Your intuition is the antenna. It might whisper, nudge, or even blare like a foghorn sometimes. Over time, you'll learn how your body and mind respond when spirit is near. Goosebumps, temperature shifts, that inner knowing that feels different than regular thoughts. And here's the thing that surprises a lot of beginners. Spirit communication isn't always about hearing a disembodied voice say, "I am your great-great-grandfather grandfather. Sometimes it's as subtle as a flickering candle, a song lyric that hits too hard, or a feather that lands at your feet when you were just thinking about someone. The spirit world is subtle. It loves to speak in symbols, signs, and synchronicities. Lastly, this practice isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's deeply personal. Some of the most powerful moments of spirit connection happen in silence, during a meditation, or while walking through the woods. You don't need fancy tools or dramatic rituals, just presence, intention, and an open heart. You now know what spirit communication is and what it isn't, who you might be connecting with, and how it all begins with trust, respect, and relationship. We're not summoning forces for show. We're building bridges with the unseen, the wise, and the sacred. The veil isn't some locked door, it's more like a curtain, and when you're ready with clarity and care, you can start gently pulling it back. Alright, so now that you've got a sense of what spirit communication actually is, let's talk about something folks often overlook, the prep work. And trust me, this part matters a lot. Think of it like inviting a guest over to your home. You wouldn't just fling open the door and yell, "Come on in," without tidying up a bit, maybe lighting a candle, putting out some snacks, or at the very least changing out of their pajamas. Spirit communication is the same. You're not just speaking into the void. You're creating a sacred space for connection, and that starts with preparing yourself and your surroundings. Let's start with the noggin, your mental state. If you're anxious, distracted, or carrying around the emotional mess from your day, spirit work's going to feel foggy at best. You want to come into this with a clear, focused mindset. That doesn't mean you have to be perfect. Goddess knows we've all got baggage, but it does mean checking in with yourself. Try this. Take a few minutes to just breathe. Seriously. Close your eyes, inhale slowly, hold it, and exhale. Do that a few times and let your thoughts settle. Now, a lot of times when I get into workings and things like this, I say this a lot. I talk about just breathing. There's a reason for that, because a lot of people just don't do it. And what I mean by that is, it means just relax. Just breathe and be conscious of that very moment. You'd be shocked on how well this gets you, for the most part, centered and grounded. This is grounding, and it helps you come back to the present moment, the only place where magic really happens. For beginners, a simple affirmation like "I'm open and safe" can go a long way as well. For more advanced folks, this is where you might incorporate deeper meditation, sigils drawn in the air, or a visualization of opening your third eye like a blooming flower. Your body is your temple and your antenna. You don't need to fast for days or sit in lotus position for an hour, but you do want to make sure your physical energy isn't scattered. This is where grounding comes in. Grounding helps tether your spirit to your body so that when you're reaching up and out to connect with the unseen, you don't float off with the clouds. Try walking barefoot outside, or picture roots growing from your feet deep into the earth. Feel your spine straighten, your shoulders relax, your breath deepen. Some witches hum or chant to get their energy flowing. Others stretch, shake it out, or even sip tea. Do what aligns with you. Also, let's be real. Don't try to do spirit work if you're running on zero sleep, haven't eaten all day, or are hangry, for instance. Spirits want to connect with you, not a frazzled mess of caffeine and stress. Now let's talk about your environment. You don't need a full-blown ritual chamber or glowing altar to reach spirits. You just need an intentional space, something that signals this is where the magic happens. That could be a windowsill, a table, or a patch of ground outside. Start by cleansing the area. You can use incense, smoke from herbs like sage or rosemary, sound like a bell or singing bowl, or even a spray made from moon water and essential oils. The goal here is to sweep out any leftover energetic dust so the space is clear and inviting. Next, think about atmosphere. Candles are classic, not just for ambiance, but because fire is a powerful spiritual connector. A small offering dish, a crystal or two, or photos of ancestors can help anchor the energy. If you work with deities or spirit guides, add items that honor them. Music can be helpful too. Soft instrumental tracks, drumming, or even chanting can shift the vibe quickly. For advanced practitioners, this is where layering in elements comes in, literally. Air, fire, water, and earth can be represented to create elemental balance. You might also create wards or protective sigils around your space if you're opening a channel and want to make sure you're not leaving the spiritual front door wide open afterward. Your energy is the most important tool in the whole process. If you're vibrating in fear, desperation, or ego, spirits can feel that. They'll either stay away or worse, attract the kind of energy that feeds off chaos. Instead, raise your frequency. Think gratitude, humility, and curiosity. Smile, laugh, feel joy. When your heart is open and your intentions are clear, spirits that resonate with that will respond. Preparing yourself, your mind, your body, and your space isn't about being fancy, it's about being ready. You're creating a bridge between worlds, and you want it to be solid, welcoming, and safe. Think of it as a spiritual hospitality. You're saying, hey, I'm ready to listen. I've set the table, let's talk. Okay, now that we've talked about what spirit communication is and how to prepare yourself in your space, let's get into the part most folks get excited about, the tools. This is where the witchy gear comes out. The pendulums, the cards, the boards, the mirrors. But before we go full metaphysical hardware store, let's get something straight. You don't need tools to talk to spirit. Yep, I said it. Your strongest tools are your intuition and your intent. Tools just help you tune in better. Think of them like a radio antenna. They boost the signal and help you focus. Some folks are naturally good at picking up energy barehanded, and others find that using a tool creates a clear channel. Neither way is better. It's all about what works for you. So let's go over some of the most popular tools, how they work, and when you might use them. Pendulums are a go-to for a lot of witches, especially when you want clear, direct answers. It's just a weighted object on a chain, but don't let the simplicity fool you. This thing can be powerful. You hold it still, ask a question, and it swings to give you an answer. Back and forth for yes, or side to side for no, and maybe in circles or diagonals depending on how you program it. Here's the catch. You are influencing it, and that's not a bad thing. The pendulum is tapping into your subconscious and spiritual intuition. Spirits can influence it too, but if your energy is scattered, your results will be too. That's why grounding and clear questions are key. You know, I had to include these. Tarot is an amazing bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds. Spirits often use symbols and archetypes to speak, and tarot is basically a whole language made out of symbols. You shuffle, pull, and interpret the cards, but here's the kicker. You're not just reading the cards, you're reading the energy. Spirits can guide your hand, nudge your thoughts, or deliver a message through the story the cards lay out. Oracle decks work similarly, but don't have the same structured format as tarot. They're a little more free-flowing and great for beginners who want to start without learning 78 meanings right away. Ask spirits to show up in the reading. Say out loud, "Guide me so-and-so," and let your message come through the cards. You'll be surprised at what unfolds. Whether you're using a black mirror, a bowl of water, or a candle flame, scrying is all about looking beyond the surface. You're not trying to see with your eyes, you're allowing your mind to drift and your inner vision to activate. That might sound a little vague, but the trick is not trying too hard. It's like catching a dream while you're awake. Images might appear in the mirror, shapes might dance in the flame. Sometimes it's literal, other times it's metaphor. This is a slower method, but it can produce incredibly deep insights. Scrying is especially good for spirit communication when you're seeking messages through imagery, visions, or even emotions. It's not always about getting words, it's about receiving impressions. Okay, it's time. Let's talk about the spirit board, also known as the talking board or Ouija. This tool is loaded with reputation. Some folks swear by it, others run screaming. But used responsibly, it can be a very direct line to the spirit world. The board has letters, numbers, and a few key words like yes, no, and goodbye. You place your fingers lightly on the planchette, ask your question, and allow the energy to guide it across the board. Sounds simple, but this is not a game. Spirit boards are powerful because they create a very open channel. That means you must protect yourself energetically. Cast a circle, call on guides, set firm boundaries. Never use one when you're upset, fearful, or under the influence of anything. And always close the session properly with a firm goodbye. For more experienced practitioners, you can customize your own board, create wards surround your space, and even channel through the board in a trance state. But for beginners, stick to clear questions, keep the session short, and stay respectful. We're living in a digital age, and yes, even spirit communication has gone high-tech. Some practitioners use recorders to capture EVPs, what are called electronic voice phenomena, spirit boxes that sweep through radio frequencies, or apps that claim to detect energy. Are these foolproof? Nope, but some people have had wild success with them. If you use tech, pair it with old school methods. Let it support your practice, not replace your intuition. The truth is, no tool is one size fits all. Some folks swear by pendulums and can't stand tarot. Others love scrying but get nothing from a spirit board. That's okay. The key is experimentation. Try them, sit with them, keep a journal. Notice what pulls you in and what feels flat. At the end of the day, tools are just doorways. You are the key. So, You've got your space set, your energy aligned, and maybe even a few tools ready to go. You've read the theory, done the prep, and now you're standing at the edge of the veil, wondering, how do I actually make contact? First off, let me just say this moment is powerful. Whether it's your first time reaching out to a spirit or your 100th, there's something sacred about that pause before the connection. It's like dialing a number and waiting for someone to pick up, except instead of a ringtone, you're tuning into energy, intuition, and subtle signs. Now, when I say make contact, I don't mean conjure a thunderclap and have a spirit appear in full ghostly fashion. Spirit communication is usually subtle. It whispers, it nudges, it dances at the edge of your awareness. The goal here is to approach the door gently, not to kick it open with demand or expectation. The most overlooked yet powerful technique is setting a clear intention. Spirits don't respond well to chaotic energy or unclear motives. Before you begin, take a breath and state your purpose. Are you looking to connect with an ancestor, seeking guidance from a spirit guide, or maybe just practicing your skills? Speak it out loud or say it in your heart, but be specific. You're basically sending a spiritual hello into the ether. Think of it like calling a friend instead of sending a group text to every spirit in the neighborhood. Once you've set your intention, extend a respectful invitation. It can be as simple as, if any spirits aligned with my highest good would like to connect with me at this time, I welcome your presence. Respect is the name of the game. This isn't about control, it's about collaboration. When contact starts to happen, it usually doesn't feel like a thunderbolt. It might be a shift in the air, a sudden chill, or a pressure on your shoulders. Maybe a candle flickers oddly, or you get a rush of emotion out of nowhere. Some people hear things like whispers or internal voices. Others feel impressions or see images in their mind's eye. The spirit world speaks in a different language. Symbols, synchronicity, dreams, intuition, you've got to learn to translate. A handy tip is to keep a journal nearby. Write down what you sense, hear, see, or feel, even if it doesn't make sense right away. Sometimes the message is clearer after a little time and reflection. You may even have a friend journal for you and write down messages as you feel them. When you start receiving signs or messages, keep the energy light and focused. Don't rapid fire 20 questions at once like it's a spiritual game show. Instead, ask one question at a time and give space for a response. This could come through your chosen tool, through a feeling, or just a quiet knowing in your gut. Good starter questions: are you a guide or ancestor? What message do you have for me today? How can I best honor your presence? Think of it like building a friendship. You wouldn't sit someone down and demand they spill their life story. You'd ease into it, right? And don't forget to close the door. This part is super important and often skipped closing the session. Just like you wouldn't leave a physical door wide open all night, you don't want to leave your energetic doorway flapping in the breeze. Thank this spirit or spirits for showing up, even if the message wasn't what you expected. Kindness and closure are key. You can say something simple like, "Thank you for your presence. I now close this space and release any lingering energy. You may return to your realm in peace." If you cast a circle or did any protective work, go ahead and undo that now. Blow out candles, ring a bell, or wash your hands. Something physical to signal that the session is over. After contact, take a moment to breathe and come back to center. Spirit work can stir up a lot of energy, especially when you're just starting out. Drink water, eat some food, move your body, and give yourself time to process. Later, reflect on how it went. What worked? What felt off? What would you do differently next time? Advanced practitioners may feel called to perform divination afterward to confirm or clarify messages. Others might go straight into dream work or meditation. Trust your rhythm. Spirit communication isn't just about reaching out. It's about learning to listen in new ways. Making contact is a process, not a single event. The more you practice, the more fluent you'll become in the language of the unseen. And the best part, every session teaches you something. Even silence can be a message. The key is to approach the work with patience, curiosity, and respect. This is the part where we hit the brakes and have a real talk, because while spirit communication is beautiful, powerful, and deeply transformative, it also comes with responsibility. This part of the video is about knowing how to stay safe, set boundaries, and practice with integrity so you stay in the driver's seat, not just along for the ride. You see, opening up to the spirit world isn't just about who you connect with. It's about how you show up and what you allow and what you refuse. Think of this like inviting someone into your home. You don't just throw your front door wide open and yell, "Come on, come one and come all," like I was mentioning earlier. You open that door with purpose after checking who's knocking and maybe keeping a salt line across the threshold just in case. Let's get into 3 big ideas here: ethics, safety, and sovereignty. Let's be honest, once you realize spirit communication works, it's tempting to want to use it for everything. Curious about your ex, wondering if someone's lying to you, want to peek into someone else's spiritual business without their consent? Here's the line in the sand. Ethical spirit work requires consent, respect, and intention. Reading for someone without their permission, that's a no-go. Trying to contact the spirit of a famous person you've never met just because you're curious? Not great. Asking a spirit to spy on someone or interfere in their life? Definitely crossing into manipulation. A good rule of thumb: if it wouldn't be respectful in real life, it's probably not respectful in the spiritual realm either. Spirits are people, or were, or are becoming, depending on your belief system, and they deserve to be treated with dignity. Now let's talk protection, not because the spirit world is crawling with horrors, but because energetic boundaries matter. You lock your doors at night, right? Not because you're paranoid, but because it's smart. The same logic applies here. Before any session, make sure you're grounded, centered, and shielded. You can use a visualization, like a sphere of light around you, or physically draw a circle, wear protective jewelry, or call in your guides. Think of it as spiritual seatbelts. Always begin by stating your boundaries. Say something like, "Only benevolent spirits aligned with my highest good may communicate with me." That sets the tone. You're filtering the call, not just letting random energy jump in. And if something feels off, trust your gut. A sudden wave of nausea, a headache, or a burst of fear out of nowhere, that's your body talking. Stop the session. Cleanse yourself and the space. Thank the energy for coming and firmly send it away. Salt, bells, candles, and sound are all powerful allies here. Don't be afraid to assert yourself. You're not powerless, you're in command. Now for my favorite part, spiritual sovereignty. That's a fancy way of saying you are in charge of your own energy and your own experience. No spirit, guide, or entity gets to boss you around, speak over your will, or tell you what to do without question. Yes, spirit communication can bring wisdom. Yes, your guides and ancestors can offer insight. But remember, you always have free will. If a message doesn't feel right, you don't have to accept it. You're allowed to question, push back, or walk away. Not every spirit is wise. Not every voice is truth. Discernment is a muscle. Use it. Ask yourself, does this message make me feel empowered, grounded, aligned, or does it stir up fear, guilt, or confusion? A good spirit guide lifts you up. They don't try to control or scare you. Also, it's okay to say no. No to working with the spirit. No to a session that feels weird. No to sharing messages if you're not ready. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors with locks, and you hold the key. Spirit communication should never leave you feeling drained, confused, or unsafe. If it does, it's time to pause and reevaluate your practice. Don't be afraid to step back, cleanse, reflect, and seek support from experienced folks you trust. This path is yours. You walk it in your own time, your own way. And when you do it with integrity, awareness, and confidence, it becomes a lifelong relationship, one built on trust and mutual respect. So light your candle, cast your circle, and open the door with wisdom. Just don't forget to close it when you're done. And there you have it, your first real steps into the world of spirit communication. We've walked through the what, the how, the tools, the rituals, and the all-important boundaries that keep us safe and sovereign. You've learned that this practice isn't about theatrics or instant answers. It's about patience, trust, and building genuine relationships with the unseen. Whether you're lighting a candle to honor your ancestors or sitting in a quiet meditation waiting for a whisper, you know that you're engaging in something ancient, sacred, and deeply personal. Remember, you don't have to have all the answers or get it right every time to be a strong spirit worker. This path isn't linear. Some days the veil feels wide open, and other days it might feel like a brick wall. That's okay. Keep showing up with intention. Keep honoring the silence as much as the signs. Spirit communication is a journey, not a destination. And the real magic? It happens when you realize you've been part of the conversation all along. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Witch Into Working. Do you practice communicating with spirits? What methods do you use? Let us all know down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to ring that little bell to be reminded of the wonderful and exciting future episodes to come. I love you guys and gals. Blessed be.